The Avro Vulcan is a jet-powered strategic bomber developed by the Avro Aircraft Company in the United Kingdom during the 1950s. Renowned for its distinctive delta wing design, the Vulcan became an iconic aircraft of its era, known for its stealthy approach and ability to fly at altitudes suitable for nuclear strike missions. The Vulcan was introduced in 1956 and served in the Royal Air Force until 1984. The design of the aircraft allowed for minimal radar signature, especially in a high-speed climb, making it more challenging to intercept. The Vulcan is powered by 4 Bristol Olympus twin-spool turbojet engines, producing 11,000 pounds force thrust each, which gave the aircraft a top speed of 0.9 Mach. As a nuclear bomber, the Vulcan was originally equipped with the Blue Steel missile, a radar-guided air-launched cruise missile capable of carrying a nuclear payload. It also had the capacity to carry free-fall bombs in a bomb bay that could hold up to 21,000 pounds of conventional or nuclear ordnance. Vulcans routinely visited the Far East as part of the UK's contribution to SEATO, in particular Singapore, where a fully equipped nuclear weapons storage facility had been constructed in 1959. In June 1961, one Vulcan flew 18,507 kilometers from RAF Scampton to Sydney in just over 20 hours, facilitated by 3 air refuelings. Vulcans also took part Operation Sky Shield exercises in the 1960s, in which NORAD defenses were tested against possible Soviet air attack. The closest the Vulcan came to taking part in potential nuclear conflict was during the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962, where Bomber Command was moved to Alert Condition 3. During the Falklands War in 1982, the Vulcan was deployed against Argentinian forces, which became known as the Black Buck Raids. Each aircraft had to fly 6,259 kilometers from Ascension Island to reach Stanley on the Falklands. Victor tankers conducted air-to-air refueling for the Vulcan to cover the distance. Approximately 5 million liters of fuel was used in each mission. Several Vulcans today are housed in museums in the UK, USA, and Canada. The B-1B Lancer is a supersonic strategic bomber used by the United States Air Force, developed by Rockwell International in the 1970s as part of the B-1 program. Unlike earlier bombers, the B-1B was designed with a variable sweep wing, allowing it to fly at speeds of Mach 1.2 at high altitudes and perform low-level penetrations at subsonic speeds. Its design includes 3 internal bomb bays which can carry up to 75,000 pounds of ordnance, including nuclear weapons, precision-guided bombs, or conventional munitions. The B-1B is powered by 4 General Electric F101-GE afterburning turbofan engines outputting 30,780 pounds force thrust each with afterburner. with combat range of 2,993 nautical miles and a service ceiling of 60,000 feet. The B-1 received the official name Lancer on the 15th of March 1990. However, it has been commonly called the Bone, a nickname that stemmed from an early newspaper article wherein its name was phonetically spelled out as B-O-N-E. The B-1B no longer carries nuclear weapons under provisions of the New START Treaty with Russia. The B-1 was first used in combat in Iraq during Operation Desert Fox in December 1998. B-1s have been used in Operation Allied Force in Kosovo and in Operation Enduring Freedom, where it flew thousands of sorties and dropped almost 40% of total aerial ordnance in Afghanistan. JDAMs were heavily used by the B-1 in the 2003 invasion of Iraq. In March 2011, B-1Bs from Ellsworth Air Force Base attacked targets in Libya as part of Operation Odyssey Dawn. In 2014, the B-1 was used against the Islamic State in the Syrian civil war during Operation Inherent Resolve. During the Battle of Kobani in Syria, B-1s dropped 660 bombs in 5 months, destroying over 1,000 ISIL terrorists. In 2018, B-1s launched JASSM missiles in the bombing of Damascus and Homs in Syria. On February 2024, the US deployed 2 B-1Bs to strike 85 terrorist targets in 7 locations in Iraq and Syria as a response to the killing of 3 US troops in a drone attack in Jordan. The B-2A Spirit stealth bomber is a strategic bomber developed by Northrop Grumman for the United States Air Force in the 1990s, designed for stealth and penetration of heavily defended enemy territory to deliver both nuclear and conventional weapons. The most iconic feature of the B-2A is its flying wing design, which eliminates the need for a tail or fuselage. This design minimizes the aircraft's radar signature, enhancing its ability to penetrate enemy air defenses undetected. The B-2A is powered by 4 General Electric F118 turbofan engines, which give it a top speed of Mach 0.95 with a range of 6,000 nautical miles and a service ceiling of 50,000 feet. It can carry up to 40,000 pounds of ordnance, including PGMs, JDAMs, ALCMs, and nuclear bombs. The B-2's combat debut was during 1999 Operation Allied Force in the Kosovo War against Serbian targets. During this war, 6 B-2s flew non-stop to Yugoslavia from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, dropped 500 bombs, and flew back totaling 30 hours. On May 1999, a B-2 dropped JDAMs on the Chinese embassy in Belgrade. The B-2 saw service in Afghanistan during Operation Enduring Freedom and during the Iraq War, releasing more than 2 million pounds of munitions. In March 2011, B-2s were the first US aircraft to see action in Operation Odyssey Dawn, dropping 40 bombs on a Libyan airfield in support of the UN no-fly zone. On March 2013, B-2s flew a round trip of 13,000 miles from Whiteman Air Force Base to South Korea as part of the annual South Korean-US military exercises. On January 2017, B-2s attacked an ISIS training camp in Libya, dropping 108 JDAM bombs, killing around 85 militants. Each B-2 flew a 33-hour round-trip mission from Whiteman Air Force Base with 4 or 5 refuelings during the trip. On October 2024, B-2As carried out strikes on underground weapons storage locations owned by the Houthis in Yemen. A B-2 Spirit full-scale test unit is on display at the National Museum of the United States Air Force near Dayton, Ohio. The B-52H Stratofortress is a long-range strategic bomber developed by Boeing. Known for its iconic 8-engine design, it has been in service for over 6 decades. The B-52H is powered by 8 Pratt & Whitney TF-33 turbofan engines, each providing 17,000 pounds of thrust. Its massive wingspan of 185 feet gives it the ability to carry up to 70,000 pounds of ordnance. On 21st May 1956, a B-52B dropped a Mark 50 nuclear bomb over the Bikini Atoll in a test code named Cherokee. This aircraft now is on display at the National Museum of Nuclear Science and History in Albuquerque, New Mexico. On January 1957, 3 B-52Bs made a non-stop flight around the world during Operation Powerflight, covering 24,325 miles in 45 hours, 19 minutes with several in-flight refuelings by KC-97s. On 26 September 1958, a B-52D set a world speed record of 597.6 miles per hour without a payload. On 11 January 1962, a B-52H set a world distance record by flying unrefueled from Kadena Air Base, Japan to Torrejon Air Base, Spain, which covered 12,532.2 miles. Its first combat mission, Operation Arclight, was flown by B-52Fs on June 1965. when 30 bombers struck a communist stronghold in South Vietnam. From 18 to 29 December 1972, B-52s flew 729 sorties and dropped 15,237 tons of bombs on Hanoi, Haiphong, and other targets in North Vietnam during Operation Linebacker 2, also known as the Christmas bombings. During Operation Desert Storm, B-52s flew about 1,620 sorties and delivered 40% of the weapons dropped. On September 1996, B-52Hs struck Baghdad power stations and communications facilities during a 34-hour, 16,000-mile round-trip mission from Andersen Air Force Base, Guam, as part of Operation Desert Strike. It was the longest distance ever flown for a combat mission. B-52 contributed to Operation Enduring Freedom in 2001, dropping a third of the bomb tonnage in Afghanistan. B-52s has been a valuable asset in supporting ground operations during Operation Allied Force, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Inherent Resolve, and the Syrian Civil War. The B-52 had the highest mission-capable rate of the three types of heavy bombers operated by the USAF, averaging at 80.5%. The BM-335 Lindworm is a fictional jet fighter featured in the Ace Combat Zero, the Balkan War. The BM-335 features a distinctive double-cylinder fuselage. The bomber's cockpit is above the fuselage, and a bombing radar named Nachtigall is below it. The radar is especially useful for nighttime bombing. Its tail carries a defensive machine gun as well as electronic warfare equipment. The machine gun is remote controlled from the cockpit and can continue to attack targets even after the bomber is critically damaged. It was specifically designed to carry nuclear ordnance over large distances. Yet, it is also capable of carrying standard iron bombs. The aircraft takes its name from the German cognate of Lindworm, a term that refers to wingless, bipedal dragons in British heraldry. The radar's name, Nachtigall, is German for nightingale. The Hawker Siddeley Nimrod was a long-range maritime patrol aircraft developed by the United Kingdom during the late 1960s. Based on the de Havilland Comet, the world's first jet airliner, the Nimrod was designed for anti-submarine warfare, search and rescue, and reconnaissance roles introduced into service in 1969. The Nimrod was powered by 4 Rolls-Royce Speed turbofan engines It could achieve a cruising speed of 789 km per hour with an operational range of 9,250 km. Its ability to loiter over vast expanses of ocean for extended periods made it an ideal platform for detecting and tracking submarines and surface vessels. Equipped with an advanced sonobuoy system and magnetic anomaly detector or MAD-boom, the Nimrod could locate underwater threats with precision. The Nimrod was armed with torpedoes, depth charges, and air-launched missiles, including the AGM-84 Harpoon for anti-ship missions, supplemented by the addition of 1,000-pound general-purpose bombs, BL-755 cluster bombs, and AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles. The aircraft also carried nuclear depth bombs during the Cold War, reflecting its critical role in NATO's maritime defense strategy. During the Icelandic Cod Wars of 1972, the Nimrod fleet closely cooperated with Royal Navy surface vessels to protect British civilian fishing ships. Nimrods were used to provide SR and communications relay support during the Operation Black Buck bombing raids by Avro Vulcans. In all, Nimrods flew 111 missions from Ascension in support of British operations during the Falklands War. Nimrod Mr-2S was deployed to Sib in Oman in August 1990 as a result of the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, carrying out patrols over the Gulf of Oman and Persian Gulf. Nimrods were used to guide Westland Lynx helicopters and Grumman A-6 intruders against Iraqi patrol vessels, assisting in sinking or damaging Iraqi vessels. Nimrods were deployed as part of the British contribution to the invasion of Afghanistan and in the Iraq War for intelligence gathering purposes. The Nimrod was officially retired in 2011, ending its illustrious service. The Tupolev Tu-95 NATO reporting name Bear is a strategic bomber developed by the Soviet Union in the 1950s and has been one of the most enduring aircraft in Russian military service. The Tu-95 is powered by 4 Kuznetsov NK 12 turboprop engines, which provide it with a top speed of up to 925 km per hour. The distinctive feature of the Tu-95 is its contra-rotating propellers, which are the largest of their kind ever built. The aircraft has a wingspan of 185 feet, making it one of the largest propeller-driven aircraft in the world. It also carries sonar buoys, search radar, and electronic countermeasures for intelligence gathering missions. The Tu-95 can be armed with conventional and nuclear weapons, including air-launched cruise missiles and gravity bombs, with 2 23mm Gryazev Shipunov 23 autocannon in tail turret. One of its most significant weapons is the Kos-55 Kent, a nuclear-capable cruise missile. On 30 October 1961, a Tu-95 carried and dropped the Tsar Bomba, the most powerful thermonuclear device ever detonated. As part of their nuclear strike mission, bomber crews would undertake frequent missions into the Arctic, to practice transpolar strikes against the United States. During the Falklands War, Tu-95s carried out intelligence-gathering flights around Ascension Island. In July 2010, two Russian Tu-95MS set a world record for a non-stop flight for an aircraft in the class, spending more than 43 hours in the air. They flew through the Atlantic, Arctic, and Pacific Oceans, as well as the Sea of Japan, covering more than 30,000 kilometers with 4 mid-air refuelings. On November 2015, Tu-95s were deployed in the Syrian civil war, launching the Koch 101 cruise missiles on several militant positions in Syria. Tu-95 bombers took part in the opening assault on Ukraine during the initial phase of the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Tu-95 has remained in service for more than 60 years, making it one of the longest-serving bombers in history.
Taking course 160. Squadron 1 here, heading back, course 130. Deny enemy invasion. Electromagnetic spectrum. Rearm and refuel, Command. Planning course to combat area.
Distance 520. The enemy is increasing speed. Ready to fire.
Pilot 32 fully ready. Taking course 160. Foxtrot Tango 16 reporting. Successful reload. Returning back to combat mission. Squadron 1 here. Heading back. Course 130.
The Tu-160, NATO reporting name Blackjack, is a supersonic strategic bomber developed by Tupolev Design Bureau in the Soviet Union in the 1970s. Often referred to as the White Swan due to its distinctive white livery, the Tu-160 is one of the largest supersonic bombers in the world. It was powered by 4 Samara NK3 2-1 afterburning turbofan engines, producing 55,000 pounds force thrust each with afterburner. It had a top speed of over Mach 2 and a range of 12,300 kilometers without in-flight refueling. The wings can sweep backward to increase speed or sweep forward for better lift and maneuverability during takeoff and landing. The wingspan varies between 55 meters at full sweep and 37 meters in retracted position. The Tu-160 typically carries a crew of 4, consisting of a pilot, co-pilot, bombardier, and defensive systems officer. The Tu-160's primary weapon system is 12 Raduga Kh-55 cruise missiles, which have a range of over 2,500 kilometers. Additionally, the bomber can carry 45,000 kilograms of ordnance. During 1989 and 1990, a total of 44 world speed flight records in its weight class were set. On September 2007, a Tu-160 deployed a massive fuel-air explosive device called Father of All Bombs for its first field test. On 10th June 2010, Tu-160s carried out a record-breaking 23-hour patrol with a planned flight range of 18,000 kilometers, having flown along Russia's borders and over neutral waters in the Arctic and Pacific Oceans. On November 2015, in the Syrian civil war, several Tu-160 and Tu-95 strategic bombers fired Kh-101 cruise missiles from above the Mediterranean Sea, striking targets in Idlib and Aleppo provinces, destroying numerous Islamic State targets. On March 2022, a Tu-160, along with a Tu-95MS strategic bomber, launched cruise missiles at the Havrishivka Vinnytsia International Airport in Ukraine from the Black Sea area. The Tu-160 holds the title of the heaviest combat aircraft with a takeoff weight of up to 275 tons. The XB-70 Valkyrie was a high-speed, high-altitude experimental supersonic bomber developed by North American Aviation, later part of Northrop Grumman, for the United States Air Force during the 1960s. Designed to fly at speeds of Mach 3 and altitudes of 70,000 feet, the XB-70 was an ambitious project aimed at creating a bomber that could evade Soviet air defenses by flying faster and higher than any existing aircraft. Its wings were unusually large and swept back, offering the necessary lift and stability for supersonic flight. The aircraft's skin was made from heat-resistant materials to withstand the extreme temperatures generated at Mach 3 speeds. The XB-70 was powered by 6 turbojet engines, 4 of which were General Electric YJ93 engines, and 2 were afterburning turbojets for additional thrust. The aircraft had a crew of 2, a pilot and navigator. The XB-70 did have several features designed to reduce its radar signature, including its unique shape and high operational altitude. The XB-70 was never used in combat, as its development was cut short in the late 1960s due to a combination of factors. The aircraft was extremely costly to develop and maintain. The rise of subsonic bombers and long-range missiles like the B-52 Stratofortress and ICBMs made the XB-70 less viable as a strategic asset. The development of nuclear-tipped missiles that could be launched from land, sea, or air rendered the concept of a manned bomber less practical for nuclear strikes. Only 2 prototypes of the XB-70 were built. One was destroyed in a mid-air collision during a photo shoot on the 8th of June 1966, when it collided with the F-104 Starfighter. The accident resulted in the death of the F-104 pilot and the destruction of one XB-70 prototype. The other XB-70 was retired and placed on display at the National Museum of the United States Air Force at Wright-Patterson AFB near Dayton, Ohio.
This is U.S. Army airspace. Divert or we will take you down.
The YRB-89 is a tactical bomber that appears in Ace Combat G Skies of Incursion. While the YRB-89 looks virtually the same as its counterpart, the YR-99, the main difference between the two is the role they were developed and assigned for, with the former being a bomber and the latter being a multi-role. The YRB-89 lacks the stealth that its fighter variant has and is much slower in speed. YRB-89s were utilized by the Lisath Air Force during the early stages of the Aurelian War to bomb key structures of the Aurelian military, such as Puku Lagola Air Base and Port Patterson. All deployed units were shot down by the Falco Squadron.
Man, I'm not in the mood for this shit today. I'm gonna blow stuff up to let off steam. Target in sight. I see a lot of oil tanks. Boats, a lot of warships. Plenty of buildings, too.
Destroy everything in sight.
I appreciate the simplicity of the operation. They don't look like military.
You think you look anything like military?
Another one spot. Take this.
Burn, bitches!
Are you guys all nuts? I thought at least one of you was sane.
of solitary.